What's going on, guys? Ben here, Enos Tech, and today we're taking a look at the Sahara P35 tempered glass case. Now, I know a lot of you probably wouldn't have heard of Sahara yet, but they're starting to make some way, at least in the UK market, and they've got some pretty good products that I've seen so far personally. First up, I took a look at their Pirate Turbo RGB fans that come with a separate controller, and for the money they offer good performance and value. The fans were £5 a piece and the controller is £10, so you get really good value for the money, and they're a lot cheaper than most other RGB fans. So today, as mentioned, we'll be taking a look at their P35 tempered glass case. As you can see, we've got a bit of tempered glass here on the front, and there's a whole side panel here of tempered glass, which we'll take a look at in a minute. As you can see, I've got my handy dandy white gloves on because I've made too many marks on this thing, so I've just cleaned it all up so it looks a bit better. And now it's time to shoot the video. Now everything's inside of it. One of the things that I instantly noticed and liked was the rear side panel. As you will see, there's some ventilation up here. It's kind of a unique little design. Just helps to let a little bit of the air from all the cables escape through the back. It can also be used for the RGB controller, as it has a little sensor. So depending on what you want to do, you could even mount that sensor in one of these little holes here, so you can easily point the remote at it and change the color of the fans. Personally, myself, I've left the sensor for the controller in the vents here in the front, and even though it is sticking out a little bit, when I redo it, I will put it up here in the front, so it's easy to click. But yeah, this is one of the first, not the first, but it's been a while since I've seen vents on a on the back side panel. Normally companies just leave it plain. Some of them may raise it out a little bit, but they don't normally do a lot with it, which is generally okay because not much happens. You stuff your cables back there, and it is what it is. Now, moving around, the front I/O is on the top of the front panel. We've got the RGB button, which is cool because, as you can see, I know it's a bit hard to see. I'll do it when I tip it down as well. You can actually change the RGB effect and lighting of the fans using that. You just plug that into the RGB header on the Pirate fan controller, and you can just change your buttons right there. You don't need to have the remote to hand. You can just hit this, and though obviously it does take a while because you've got to sit there and cycle through every single one, it is a nice feature. It's something cool to have, and like I said, it makes it so you don't need the remote. Next up, there is a USB 3.0 and a USB 2.0 header. Well, there's a pair of USB 2.0 headers. We've got our mic and headphone inputs. We've got reset button and a power button, and obviously our little hard drive lights and stuff like that, which I personally don't use much these days because obviously you've got all these nice RGB fans and stuff. You don't need that little red blinky light flashing on you. So as you can see, the RGB button just cycles through some of the effects of the fans. Like you said, I mean, you sit here, as you can see, obviously I could probably sit here. There's over 55 different effects, and then obviously there's a few colors for each one. So I mean, we could be sitting here all day playing with this if that's what we had wanted to do. So big kudos to Sahara for that. I think that's quite a unique feature, especially when you consider that this case comes in the market at about £80 currently. You can pick it up for in the UK. As you see, the front panel here is full tempered glass. It's probably hard to see in the video, but there is the Sahara text right there behind the glass, and that is a bit it. There is a bit of a border that goes around it, so it just makes it look nice. You got the, obviously you can pull it off. I probably won't do it now because it's one of those ones where it does come off, but you need to be gentle but firm with it. And as you can see, I've just hit the power button while I was doing all that, trying to get it off. But the front panel does come off. I have taken an image of this in the written part of the review, so if you're interested in seeing more of that, make sure to check it out. There'll be a link down in the description. Now, moving around to the fun part, and as you can see on the side, we've got our full tempered glass. Now, it has 4 screws, thumb screws, that hold it on. For the sake of this video, I had already taken 2 of them out, so it would be a little bit easier for me to go ahead and pop this off. Now, as you'll see, there is already a full build in here featuring 2 graphics cards. If you were interested in seeing the case, just set that out of the way without breaking it. If you are interested in seeing this case before it was built in, there is a full set of pictures, as mentioned, in the written review on the Enos Tech website. So now, as you'll see, there's plenty of room here. Just to show off our build, we've got 2 GTX 1060s in there. Again, yes, we know we can't SLI them, can't do that, but it's just to show the space of the case. It's just for this build, as we just happen to have 2 of these about at the moment. I've got a spare one. I normally use one for my builds, but I've got a spare one at the moment, so I'm just making the most of it and showing you what it looks like with it in there. Now, depending on what you want to do, you can mount 3 more fans down here on the bottom of the power supply cover, which will go ahead and help pull some air up. And you can also mount a couple fans in the top. What's good about the top, and what I like, is it has an easily removable magnetic dust filter. It's one of those nice ones where you can just go ahead, you can set it in the wash. I wouldn't recommend putting it in the dishwasher, because it does have the magnets are like glued on or got some sort of adhesive to keep them on there. But you can rinse it out under a faucet and then just let it dry for a bit and then put it back on. Just do make sure that it is completely dry. And as you will see, there's plenty of room in here. There's plenty of outlets for cable management. We've got the rubber grommets here. As you can see, there's some more there behind the graphics card there, and another one there. Couple more up at the top. And there is even, you can't see it in this video, but you'll see it on the website if you look at the pictures. The back of the power supply cover, there are a couple cutouts so you can pass through the cables for the bottom of the motherboard, like the front I/O panel, the USB headers, audio input, and that type of stuff. But yeah, this is a very good case for the money. Obviously, it's very well constructed. It doesn't feel cheap at all. Normally when you get some of these cases you've not heard of, you're worried about them being cheap. But I mean, like I said, it's not, you can feel it. It's not denting. It's not one of the ones where you just get it and you push in the metal and you're like, ooh, you don't know about putting a good rig in it, because if you put too much weight in it, you're afraid it's just going to collapse and everything. It's not one of those. It's a very good case, especially for the money. It does come in 2 different versions. Now, you can get it with the Sahara Pirate turbo fans already installed in the case, or you can get it without those. So it's really up to you, because obviously the Sahara turbo fans are great, but if you've already got 6 or 7 good fans around, there's no point on wasting them. So you might as well get this without the get the case without the fans and use your fans. Getting the case without the fans obviously leaves you room for a bit of water cooling. Obviously you can fit a nice 360 rad in the front, though it is a bit tight up there, so you may have to look into slimmer options. But there is room for it, and obviously you can fit a nice 240 up in the top there. Again, for cooling. If you only had one graphics card, you could put a few more fans down here to add a bit of cooling, a bit more RGB LEDs, and it just looks nice. The Sahara Pirate Turbo fan controller has room for up to 10 fans, and if you put 3 here, 2 here, and 1 here, that's 9. So I mean, you can use up the controller and you can put all the fans in here, and you can have yourself a nice little light show. As far as building in the case, it was very easy to build in. I am a big fan of the power supply cover that goes all the way across the top. We've got hard drive mounting behind it on this side here. Then obviously right about here you've got the power supply, and then there's a couple inches of room for those nasty cables that we all love. Everybody goes on about cable management. It's one of the most important factors in a lot of people's builds, especially if you're building for aesthetics and you want to show off your build. The Sahara have done a good job of making sure cable management on the front side is quite nice. As you can see, there's not a lot of cables. The only thing I would personally like to see for the cable management that you probably may not even be able to see, I'll try to tilt it up a little bit, is up here you've got the cable from the front I/O. It comes through and it comes here. I would like to see maybe a little tray with a little a little wall on it, and you could completely eliminate the need to see those cables. Now, obviously, I know things like that aren't always possible, so I won't hold it against Sahara personally. It's my personal opinion. I think that would top off this case and make it one of the best out there for this type of money, especially if you're looking into the tempered glass side of things. So yeah, I could ramble on for a while about this, but I won't. As you can see, this is the final build. Again, it's got two of the Asus Strix GTX 1060s in there. We've got the Asus Strix Z270 motherboard with a 6700K. Got the ADATA XPG Dazzle RAM in there. The Arctic Freezer, their new esports cooler there, which for its size is actually quite nice. And even though it's not RGB compatible, it looks nice in this build. So yeah, I mean, that is pretty much it. Sahara have done a great job with this case. I'm going to personally go ahead and give it our must-have award because for their first case offering that I've seen personally, I think they've done great. They've come in at a decent price point that lets you know you're getting a quality case, which you do actually get, without having to fork out too much money to get that enthusiast grade level. They've done a great job. You've got the tempered glass front and side, which are both a little bit tinted, which I'm a big fan of, which looks absolutely brilliant. And yeah, it was easy to build in, and I just like everything about this case, from the quality to the build performance and the options it leaves you. So well done to Sahara, again with our must-have award. So make sure to check out the written part of the review on the website as well to get a look at the case before the build was in it. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and please stay tuned in the future for more content.